The Three Non-Outlaw Studies, Volume 6, Chapter 1, Sutra. Ananda straightened his robes and then bowed in the midst of the assembly and placed his palms together. The tracks of his mind were perfectly clear, and he felt a mixture of joy and sorrow. His intent was to benefit beings in the future as he made obeisance and said to the Buddha, "Greatly compassionate, world-honored one, I have already awakened and attained this Dharma for becoming a Buddha, and I can cultivate it without the slightest doubt. I have often heard the first command say, 'Save others first and save yourself.' That is the aspiration of a Bodhisattva. Once your enlightenment is perfected, then you can enlighten others. That is the way the first command responds to the world. Although I am not yet saved, I vow to save all living beings in the Dharma Ending Age." Commentary. After Ananda had listened to Manjushri Bodhisattva's verse, he stood up and straightened his robes. He fixed his collar and arranged his robes. He was never sloppy or careless, never let his clothes get messed up. And then he bowed in the midst of the assembly and placed his palms together. The tracks of his mind were perfectly clear. Ananda was not as confused as he was previously, and he felt a mixture of joy and sorrow. His intent was to benefit beings in the future as he made obeisance and said to the Buddha, Ananda didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Do you remember how easily Ananda cries? He's already cried several times since the start of the sutra, and now he wants to cry again. But he also feels like laughing. What was his sorrow? As it is said, joy in extreme gives rise to sorrow. He was totally happy, thinking, now I have the Buddha Dharma, I understand the genuine Dharma. I'd never felt such joy. But it wasn't enough to understand for himself. He wanted to benefit beings of the future. So he made obeisance to the Buddha and said, Greatly compassionate, world-honored one, I have already awakened and attained this Dharma door for becoming a Buddha, and I can cultivate it without the slightest doubt. I will cultivate by means of the Dharma and will never have any more doubts. I have often heard the first command say, Ananda always has to substantiate what he says by making reference to the Buddha's own teaching. He says here, I've heard the Buddha say, save others first, then save yourself. That is the aspiration of a Bodhisattva. Before one has attained the way, one can go ahead and teach others. That's the way a Bodhisattva does it. Once your enlightenment is perfected, then you can enlighten others. That is the way the first command responds to the world. You help others wake up by means of the principles that you have awakened to. This is what the Buddha does. Although I am not yet saved, I vow to save all living beings in the Dharma Ending Age. I haven't attained the way yet, but I want to enable all beings in the final age to be taken across. I want them to attain the benefits of the Buddha Dharma. Sutra. World-honored one, those living beings will gradually drift away from the Buddha, and there will be as many deviant teachers propounding their methods as they ascend in the Ganges. I want to enable those beings to collect their thoughts and enter samadhi. How can I cause them to reside peacefully in a Bodhimanda far from the exploits of demons and be irreversible in their resolve for Bodhi? Commentary. World-honored one, those living beings will gradually drift away from the Buddha. Beings in the Dharma Ending Age will gradually end up being very far away from the Buddha and even the Buddha Dharma. There will be as many deviant teachers propounding their methods as they ascend in the Ganges. That's the way it is now. Deviant teachers claim to understand things that they actually do not understand. Not enlightened, they say that they are. Not certified as sages, they say that they are. I ask them, have you been certified to the first stage, the second stage, The third, the fourth, which one? You're enlightened. What are you enlightened to? It leaves them speechless. I pursue it. You are a Buddha and yet you can't even say what stage of fruition you have been certified to. How can you have jumped to Buddhahood? And yet they persist, claiming that not only are they themselves Buddhas, everybody is a Buddha. That is their theme. This is a great lie. When you haven't reached that state, you can't go shooting off your mouth. There's no one worse than a Devon teacher. Be careful not to become one, whether you understand the Buddha Dharma or not. Don't be like one of them who was asked a point of Dharma and replied, I'm getting old, I've forgotten. What did he mean? He'd forgotten. He never knew to begin with. That kind of talk is designed to trick people. If you know, you say that you know. If you don't know, you should say you don't know. You can't say you've forgotten when you basically don't even understand what's being asked. When Devon teachers propound their methods, they are intent upon taking advantage of situations, and the doctrines they explain are wrong. For instance, sexual desire is wrong, but they say it is fine. It is the most wonderful Dharma door. They praise it, causing people to become confused and to be unable to distinguish true principle. What is wrong, they say it is right. What is right, they say is wrong. They have Devon knowledge and Devon views. Their outlook is improper. During the Dharma Ending Age, Ananda says, such teachers will abound. I want to enable those beings to collect their thoughts and enter samadhi. Even though there will be as many Devon teachers in that age as there are sand grains in the Ganges, I still hope living beings will be able to give rise to proper knowledge and proper views. How can I cause them to reside peacefully in a Bodhimanda, far from the exploits of demons, and be irreversible in their resolve for Bodhi? For example, there are some Devon demons and externalist religions that do nothing but treat people with their teachings. They talk a lot about the affairs of men and women and say that the heavier one's sexual desire, the faster one can become a Buddha. This is totally wrong, entirely deviant. You should be attentive to this point. Don't be treated by such people in the Orthodox Dharma. Any mention of sexual desire as favorable is wrong. Such methods of teaching are the exploits of demons. Another wants to know how to help people of the final age not to retreat from Bodhi. Some people study the Buddha Dharma for a while and then go back on their resolve. I don't want to study the Buddha Dharma, it's too difficult. I have to get rid of all my phones. But what if I can't? It's better if I just don't study. They lose their vigor. They admit defeat. They are overcome by demonic ghosts. Ananda wants to know how to keep this from happening. Sutra. At that time, the world honored one praised Ananda in front of the whole assembly, saying, Good indeed. How good it is that you have asked how to establish a Bodhimanda and to rescue and protect living beings who are sunk in the morass of the final age. Listen well now, and I will tell you. Ananda and the Great Assembly agreed to uphold the teaching. Commentary. Ananda said he wanted beings of the final age not to retreat from the resolve for Bodhi. He wanted them to have a decisive faith, to vow to protect and uphold the Buddha Dharma, to study and practice the Buddha Dharma, and never to go back under their resolve. But how could he get them to be that way? When Shakyamuni Buddha heard Ananda ask that question, he was delighted. The Buddha is in a state of unmoving suchness, but when someone wants to protect the Buddha Dharma and help people become Buddhas, it nonetheless makes him happy. At that time, the world honored one praised Ananda in front of the whole assembly, saying, Good indeed. The Buddha was pleased. You are really fine, Ananda. How good it is. He praises him twice. that you have asked how to establish a Bodhimanda and to rescue and protect living beings who are sunk in the morass of the final age. You want to help beings in the Dharma Ending Age who are being drowned in the water and consumed by the fire. Listen well now, and I will tell you. Ananda and the Great Assembly agreed to uphold the teaching. When they heard the Buddha agreed to speak the Dharma, their joy was even greater. The Buddha probably said, "Do you want to listen to this?" Everyone undoubtedly answered, "We want to, we want to." When Devon teachers explain their methods, their sole topic is sexual desire. The things they say are unprincipled. They should be distinguished clearly. Sometimes bodhisattvas also use compassion, kind words, and a protective heart to teach living beings, because they know that all living beings are steeped in desire. Every living being has thoughts of sexual desire, so he does not expect them to cut off their love and desire immediately, but he uses all kinds of expedient means to get them to see through and renounce sexual desire. Then they can put a stop to it themselves. This is a state of a bodhisattva, totally different from that of the Devon teachers of externalist ways. Once, Kuan Yin Bodhisattva transformed into a fishmonger. She was an exquisite woman who went about the village with her fish basket. No one in the village believed in the Buddha. But when the young men of the village caught sight of this maiden, they desired her. The village wasn't large, but there were at least 100 young men there, and every one of them wanted to marry her. Kuan Yin with the fish basket said, "There are so many of you, I can't marry 100 men, but I've thought of a method to choose a husband. I will marry whichever of the 100 of you is the first to be able to learn to recite by heart the Universal Door chapter of the Lotus Sutra. Go back home and I'll give you 3 days." But at the end of 3 days, there were 40 or 50 who could recite it from memory. The woman with the fish basket said, "But there are still too many of you. Even though you have met the requirements, I can't have 50 husbands. This time go back and within 5 days memorize the Vada Sutra. I'll marry whoever does that." So the 50 who'd made it to the first level went back and began to practice the Vada Sutra. At the end of the 5 days, there were some 20 who could recite it by heart. The fishmonger said, "There's still too many of you. It's impossible for me to marry you all. I have one more task. Anyone who can memorize the Lotus Sutra in 7 days will be my husband. I believe whoever can do that will be worthy." The 20 began to recite the Lotus Sutra, and at the end of 7 days, there was one man who could recite it from memory. He was named Ma and came from a wealthy family. So there was a large wedding, and everyone was invited. That evening, after the festivities, they retired. But who would have guessed that the bride would have a heart attack and die instantly? And the bridegroom had gone to so much effort. He'd memorized the Universal Door chapter, the Vada Sutra, and the Lotus Sutra, and still he had no bride. Shortly thereafter, the funeral took place, and a monk in purple robes appeared on the scene. "What's going on?" he asked. "Our new daughter-in-law passed away suddenly, and we are burying her." "No," said the monk, "there's nothing in that coffin at all. Who are you mourning for? Open it and take a look." Indeed, the coffin was empty. They were all amazed. "Where's she gone?" "After her. Bring her back." The monk told them, "That was Kuan Yin Bodhisattva. You people in this village didn't believe in the Buddha, so she manifested the appearance of a beautiful woman in order to get you young men who are so fond of forms to study the Buddha Dharma." Then she left. When the bridegroom Ma heard that, he renounced all worldly things and left the home life. After that, he was certified to the fruition of a sage. That really happened in China. Sutra. The Buddha told Ananda, "You constantly hear me explain in the Vinaya that there are three answerable aspects to cultivation. That is, collecting one's thoughts constitutes the precepts. From the precepts comes samadhi, and out of samadhi arises wisdom. Samadhi arises from precepts, and wisdom is revealed out of samadhi. These are called the three non-outflow studies." Commentary. When everyone in the assembly had agreed to uphold the teaching, the Buddha told Ananda, "You constantly hear me explain in the Vinaya that there are three answerable aspects to cultivation. The Vinaya includes the rules for both the greater and lesser vehicles. It discusses the precepts. These three fixed aspects are unanswerable. That is, collecting one's thoughts constitutes the precepts. These three are precepts, samadhi, and wisdom. You collect and maintain your thoughts just as a magnet collects iron filings. This refers especially to our thoughts that clamp on conditions, that take advantage of situations. When these thoughts take control, one is always paying attention to other people. One is continually thinking up ways to draw near to wealthy people or people in positions of authority. Such thoughts go on and on all day long, thus called clamming on conditions. It means that one has not collected one's thoughts. Collect those thoughts. Don't let them take advantage of situations. Don't let them run out at random. But our mind is such that it runs away with us even if we don't want it to. We may forbid it to have false thinking, but in the next moment, another false thought comes up. One ceases and the next one begins. The first thought dissolves, but the next one is already on its way. And before that one is completely gone, the next one has arisen. The mind that clamps on conditions never ceases. What you must do is to collect and maintain your thoughts. Bring your mind back to one point. The whole reason we can't become Buddhas, can't become enlightened, can't awaken to the way is that we do not have control in our mind. If you get our thoughts together, there's nothing you can do. You'll be successful at everything. The precepts, then, are designed to collect your thoughts. Precepts put a stop to evil and prevent further transgressions. Samadhi arises from precepts. Holding precepts is like holding a bottle of muddy water still. Water the silt settles and the water becomes clear. Samadhi means not moving, and wisdom is revealed out of samadhi. As Manjushri Bodhisattva's verse said, "When stillness is ultimate, the light penetrates." You become enlightened. Within samadhi, your own genuine wisdom arises. These are called the three non-outflow studies. Guard the precepts, and from the precepts will come samadhi. Out of samadhi will arise wisdom. Sutra. Ananda, why do I call collecting one's thoughts the precepts? If living beings in the six paths of any mundane world had no thoughts of lust, they would not have to follow a continual succession of births and deaths. Commentary. Ananda, why do I call collecting one's thoughts the precepts? Now I will tell you. If living beings in the six paths of any mundane world had no thoughts of lust, the six paths include gods, humans, asuras, animals, hungry ghosts, and beings in the hells. If they were free of thoughts of sexual desire, they would not have to follow a continuous succession of births and deaths. They could cut off birth and death.